heart, madam. God is in control.
The mourners wailed so loudly that the sound rose above the heavy church bells. Women in black headscarves rocked back and forth, men stood stiff with bowed heads, and the expensive casket at the front of the church gleamed under soft white lights. Inside it lay the still body of Marcus King, one of the wealthiest businessmen anyone in the city had ever known. At least that was what everyone believed. As the pastor raised his voice to speak about loss and faith, a sudden scream cut through the room. No, this can't be happening. All heads turned toward Lena King, Marcus's wife. She had collapsed beside the front pew, her face twisted in what looked like pure grief. Two women rushed to support her as she cried uncontrollably, clutching her chest and gasping for breath. But just a few feet away from her, standing quietly near the back of the church, Jordan Blake, Marcus's personal assistant, lowered his head and hid a small, nervous smile. What no one noticed was the tiny movement inside the casket. A finger twitched, barely, just enough. Marcus King was not dead. Behind his closed eyelids, his mind raced. He could hear everything, the crying, the whispers, the forced condolences. His heart pounded so hard he feared it might give him away, but he stayed perfectly still, holding his breath, trapped inside the lie he had created. This funeral was not the end of his life. It was the beginning of the truth. And the truth, he suspected, was far more dangerous than death itself. As the pastor lifted his hands to begin the final prayer, Marcus heard Lena's sobs suddenly soften. Her crying changed. It became controlled, almost rehearsed. Then he heard her whisper words that froze his blood. "Soon it will all be over." Marcus felt a cold fear spread through his chest. Over for who? Before he could think further, the lid of the casket began to lower. And everything went dark. 3 months earlier, Marcus King had been very much alive and very much troubled. From the outside, his life looked perfect. He was a self-made billionaire with offices in Atlanta and Lagos, a respected name in business circles, and a beautiful wife who appeared elegant and loyal. His marriage to Lena King was often admired. They attended charity events together, smiled for cameras, and spoke about love and partnership. But inside that marriage, something felt wrong. Marcus had begun to notice the silence. Lena used to talk endlessly about her day, about people she met, about plans for the future. But lately her words had grown few and carefully chosen. She smiled, but her eyes no longer followed him. She laughed, but her laughter ended too quickly. Sometimes, when Marcus entered a room, Lena would quickly lock her phone and place it face down. Other times, she would step outside to take calls, lowering her voice as soon as she answered. At first, Marcus told himself he was imagining things. But then there was Jordan. Jordan Blake had been Marcus's personal assistant for 5 years. Sharp, loyal, and always efficient, Jordan knew Marcus's schedule better than Marcus himself. He handled meetings, calls, travel plans, and confidential documents. Marcus trusted him completely. Too completely. One evening, Marcus came home earlier than expected. The house was quiet, too quiet. As he walked toward the living room, he heard laughter, soft, familiar laughter. Lena's laughter. Marcus stopped. He heard Jordan's voice next, low, intimate. Marcus leaned closer to the hallway corner, his heart pounding. He couldn't see them, but he could hear enough. The way their voices blended, the way Lena spoke Jordan's name. Then silence. Marcus stepped forward, and the living room was empty. No Jordan, no Lena. Just 2 glasses of wine on the table. That night Marcus barely slept. Over the following weeks, the signs multiplied. Jordan started staying late at the office more often. Lena suddenly became interested in Marcus's business accounts, asking questions she never cared about before. She insisted on knowing details about investments, properties, and insurance policies. When Marcus asked why, she smiled and said, "I'm your wife, I should know these things." Her answer sounded right. But it didn't feel right. Marcus began to feel like a stranger in his own home. Then came the moment that changed everything. Marcus was in his study late one night when his phone buzzed. A message had been sent accidentally to his number. It was from Lena. The message read, "Once he's gone, we won't have to hide anymore." Marcus stared at the screen, his hands shaking. "Gone." Before he could reply, the message disappeared. A minute later, Lena walked into the study with a calm smile. "Who were you texting?" she asked casually. Marcus looked at her, searching her face for any sign of guilt. He found none. That was when a dark idea began to form in his mind. If Lena and Jordan were hiding something, he needed proof, not suspicion, not guesses. The truth. And the only way to see people's true faces was to let them believe he was no longer alive. Marcus began planning his own death. He contacted a trusted doctor from his childhood, an old family friend who owed him his career. Together they created a plan: a sudden illness, a brief hospital stay, a heart failure that would leave no visible marks. Marcus prepared everything quietly: legal documents, surveillance, hidden cameras, financial traps. And when the day came, the world was told that Marcus King was dead. Now, as he lay trapped inside his coffin, listening to the woman he loved cry tears that might be fake, Marcus realized something terrifying. This plan might reveal the truth, but it might also cost him his life. Because if Lena and Jordan truly believed he was gone, there was no telling what they would do next. And Marcus was about to find out. Darkness pressed in on Marcus from all sides as the casket settled into place. The heavy thud of the lid sealing shut echoed in his ears like a final sentence. He focused on controlling his breathing just as the doctor had trained him. Slow, shallow, silent. Above him, the funeral continued. Voices drifted through the thick wood, murmured prayers, sniffles, footsteps, then, gradually, the sound of people leaving. Chairs scraped the floor. The church doors opened and closed. The noise thinned until only a few voices remained. One of them was Lena's. Her tone had changed. "I need a moment," she said softly. Marcus felt his chest tighten. A moment for what? He heard footsteps approach the casket. The heels stopped close, too close. Marcus imagined Lena standing right above him, staring down at the polished wood that hid his face. Then Jordan's voice joined hers. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern heavy in his words. "I will be," Lena replied. There were no sobs now, no trembling. "We just need to be careful." Marcus's heart slammed against his ribs. "Careful about what?" Jordan lowered his voice. "Everything went smoothly, no one suspects anything." Lena let out a slow breath. "Good, because once the mourning period is over, we move fast." "Move fast?" Marcus's fingers twitched involuntarily, but he forced them still. "What about the accounts?" Jordan asked. "I've already spoken to the lawyer," Lena said. "As his wife, I control everything, the properties, the companies, all of it." Jordan paused. "And if someone questions it?" Lena laughed softly. "Who would? He's dead." Those words cut deeper than any blade. Marcus felt something crack inside him, not just anger but heartbreak. The woman he had built his life with was standing over his coffin, calmly planning a future without him. With someone else. Jordan hesitated. "We should wait a little, people are watching." "I know," Lena replied, "but not too long. I'm tired of pretending." Pretending? Marcus almost laughed at the bitter irony. Their voices faded as they walked away. A few minutes later, the church fell completely silent. Hours passed. Eventually, Marcus felt movement. The casket was lifted and transferred. He counted every bump, every shift, grounding himself. Finally, he sensed fresh air as the lid loosened. The doctor's familiar voice whispered urgently, "Marcus, can you hear me?" Marcus opened his eyes. Light flooded in, blinding him for a second. He gasped, sucking in air like a man reborn. Strong hands helped him sit up. "You did it," the doctor said quietly, but that was too close. Marcus swung his legs over the side, his body trembling not from fear but rage. "They're planning something," Marcus said hoarsely. "My wife and my assistant. They think I'm gone and they're already dividing my life like property." The doctor frowned. "You need to be careful if they suspect." "They won't," Marcus interrupted, "not if I play this right." Within hours, Marcus was moved to a secure location, a private apartment registered under a false name. From there, he began watching. Hidden cameras he had installed weeks earlier came alive, audio feeds connected, financial alerts triggered. And what he saw shattered the last piece of hope he had been holding onto. Less than 48 hours after the funeral, Lena and Jordan met in Marcus's office. They didn't sit across the desk. They sat together. Jordan locked the door behind them. Lena walked straight into his arms. Marcus watched on the screen as his wife kissed another man, his man without hesitation, without guilt. "So it's really over," Jordan said, pulling back slightly. "Yes," Lena replied, "no more hiding, no more sneaking around." She laughed, a real laugh, one Marcus hadn't heard in months. "We won," she said, "everything we planned worked." Jordan looked uneasy. "What if something comes up, a will, a clause?" "I made sure," Lena said confidently. "Marcus trusted me, he signed everything I asked him to." Marcus clenched his fists. She continued, "And if anyone asks questions, you stay close to me, you're my support system now." Jordan nodded, then hesitated. "And what about how he died?" Lena's eyes darkened. "That doesn't matter anymore." Marcus leaned closer to the screen, his pulse racing. Lena lowered her voice. "All that matters is that he's gone." Jordan swallowed. "Forever." Lena smiled. "Yes, forever." Marcus stepped back from the screen, his breathing heavy. He had wanted proof of an affair. What he had uncovered was something far worse. Betrayal was only the beginning. Because now, Marcus was starting to suspect that his fake death might not have been the only plan in motion. And if Lena and Jordan were willing to celebrate this quickly, what else had they already done? As Marcus stared at the frozen image of his wife smiling in his office, a chilling thought settled in his mind. What if he wasn't pretending to be dead? What if they had wanted him dead all along? And if that was true, then Marcus knew one thing for certain. This game was no longer about love or marriage. It was about survival. Marcus did not sleep that night. He sat alone in the dimly lit apartment, watching the security feeds loop over and over again. Every smile Lena gave Jordan felt like a knife. Every casual touch confirmed that the betrayal was not recent, it was practiced. By morning, Marcus had stopped feeling shock. What remained was clarity. He called the doctor again and asked for one more favor. Then he contacted a private investigator he had once helped quietly rebuild his business years earlier. The man's name was Isaiah Cole, and he owed Marcus more than loyalty, he owed him his life. Within hours, Isaiah arrived. "You really scared the world, man," Isaiah said quietly, studying Marcus's face. "But from what I'm seeing here, someone else wanted you scared permanently." Marcus didn't respond. He pointed at the screen where Lena and Jordan were reviewing documents. "I need everything," Marcus said. "Messages, bank movements, old meetings. I want to know when this started and how far it goes." Isaiah nodded. "Then you need to stay dead a little longer." That part came easy. Lena moved fast, just as she had promised Jordan. Within a week, she changed her wardrobe. The black dresses disappeared, replaced by sharp business suits and confident heels. She stopped pretending to grieve in public. Interviews were short, tears were controlled. At Marcus's company, she stepped into power like she had been waiting for it. Jordan became her shadow. He was promoted quickly, too quickly, from assistant to executive advisor in days. Staff whispered, but no one dared question the widow of Marcus King. In the house they once shared, Lena removed Marcus's photos. She changed locks. She packed his personal items into boxes and sent them to storage. "Out of sight," she told Jordan one evening as they drank wine on the balcony, "out of mind." Marcus watched that moment from the screen, his jaw tight. Isaiah's findings came faster than expected. The affair had started over a year ago. At first, it was late-night meetings, long drives, shared secrets, then money transfers, small ones at first hidden among business expenses, then bigger movements routed through shell companies Jordan controlled. But the most disturbing discovery came last. Isaiah slid a document across the table. "This is the insurance policy," he said, "taken out 6 months ago, you as the insured, Lena as the sole beneficiary." Marcus stared at the number. It was massive. "And this," Isaiah added, pointing to another page, "the timing lines up with when your health scares started, the ones you thought were stress-related." Marcus's stomach dropped. "You're saying," he began. Isaiah nodded slowly. "I'm saying someone may have been trying to help nature take its course, or speed it up." Marcus leaned back, a cold sweat breaking across his skin. Every headache, every dizzy spell, every sudden weakness. He had blamed work. He had trusted his wife. Anger rose hot and dangerous, but Marcus forced it down. Rage would expose him, he needed patience. Lena and Jordan were growing careless. They hosted a private dinner at Marcus's old home, inviting lawyers, investors, and a few powerful friends. Lena stood at the head of the table, confident and glowing. "Marcus built something incredible," she said, raising her glass, "and I intend to protect his legacy." Jordan watched her with pride. Marcus watched her with disbelief. Later that night, after the guests left, the cameras caught something else. Jordan pulled Lena close. "We should move the remaining funds now," he said, "before the board starts asking questions." "They won't," Lena replied. "They see me as the grieving widow." Jordan hesitated, "And if Marcus planned something, you know how smart he was." Lena's face hardened. Marcus was predictable, that was his weakness. Marcus whispered to himself, "No, trust was my weakness." That was when he decided. The truth would not come out quietly. It would come out publicly. But first he needed one final piece. Marcus asked Isaiah to arrange a fake audit, one that would pressure Lena and Jordan into making a mistake. At the same time, Marcus prepared his own return, carefully planned and legally protected. Because when he came back, he wouldn't just be confronting betrayal. He would be exposing a conspiracy. As the night deepened, Marcus stood by the window, looking out at the city lights he once ruled openly. "They think I'm gone," he said quietly. "That's their advantage." Isaiah nodded. "And your weapon?" Marcus turned away from the window. "But when the dead return," Marcus said, his voice steady, "the living panic." He glanced once more at the screen where Lena laughed freely, unaware that every move was being recorded. She thought she had won. Jordan thought he was untouchable. Neither of them knew that Marcus King was already planning their downfall. And when the truth finally surfaced, it would destroy more than a marriage. It would expose who they truly were. And just before Marcus turned off the screen, Lena said something that sent a chill through him. "Once everything is finalized," she told Jordan, "there will be nothing left tying me to Marcus King." Marcus smiled for the first time since his funeral. Because soon, they would be tied forever. Take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Also, let us know where you're watching from, and if you're enjoying this story, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves intense stories like this. Lena did not see the storm coming. From her view, everything was finally falling into place. The board approved her temporary leadership without resistance. Investors praised her confidence. Friends called her strong and inspiring. The sympathy she once wore like a mask was no longer needed. Jordan, meanwhile, grew bolder. He began using Marcus's office openly, sitting behind the same desk where he once stood silently with a tablet in hand. He signed documents with ease, spoke sharply to staff, and enjoyed the power that came with proximity to Lena. But power changes people, and it makes them careless. The fake audit hit exactly 2 weeks after the funeral. An email arrived early in the morning, marked urgent. An external review had been triggered by unusual activity tied to Marcus's death and recent account movements. The language was polite but firm. Lena's calm cracked for the first time. She read the email twice, then called Jordan immediately. "Did you move anything recently?" she asked, her voice tight. Jordan paused. "Only what we discussed, nothing illegal." "Illegal is not the same as suspicious," Lena snapped. "This can't happen now." Jordan lowered his voice. "Relax, these things happen after high-profile deaths. We'll cooperate, smile, and they'll move on." But Lena didn't relax. She started making calls, lawyers, accountants, advisors. Her steps quickened, her tone sharpened. The widow mask slipped, replaced by something colder. Marcus watched it all from his hidden screens. Isaiah stood beside him, arms crossed. "She's panicking," he said. "That's good, people make mistakes when they panic." And Lena did. That afternoon, she met Jordan in a private conference room. The cameras Marcus had hidden months earlier captured everything. "You told me this was clean," Lena hissed. "It is," Jordan insisted. "Mostly." "Mostly." Lena stared at him. "What does that mean?" Jordan rubbed his forehead. "There were a few early transfers before Marcus got sick, but they can't trace those back to us. I was careful." Lena's eyes widened. You said everything started after. I said it was handled, Jordan replied defensively. Silence fell between them. Then Lena spoke, her voice low and dangerous. You promised me this would be simple. Jordan snapped back. You wanted control. This is what control looks like. Marcus felt his pulse rise. This was it. The cracks. The audit stretched into days, questions multiplied, documents were requested, Lena's legal team worked nonstop. At night, she barely slept. Jordan started drinking more. Their once easy intimacy turned tense, conversations ended in arguments, smiles vanished. One evening, Jordan confronted Lena on the balcony. If this blows up, he said, I'm not going down alone. Lena turned slowly. Are you threatening me? I'm reminding you, he replied, we're in this together. Lena's laugh was sharp. Don't forget who benefits most if this stays quiet. Jordan's jaw tightened, and don't forget who knows where the bodies are buried. Marcus clenched his fists. The betrayal had turned into warfare. That same night, Isaiah brought Marcus a final report. We traced the health incidents, Isaiah said, substances that could cause dizziness and weakness, low doses, hard to detect, someone had access to your meals. Marcus closed his eyes. Lena cooked for him. She served him tea when he complained of headaches. The confirmation burned. She didn't just cheat, Marcus said quietly, she tried to erase me. Isaiah nodded, which means when you come back it can't be emotional, it has to be surgical. Marcus looked at the city skyline, steadying himself. I know. The next phase began. Marcus authorized Isaiah to leak a rumor carefully planted. The board might consider reopening parts of Marcus's will if irregularities continued. The effect was immediate. Lena stormed into her lawyer's office the next morning. That can't happen, she said, the will is sealed. Her lawyer hesitated, only if there's no reason to challenge it. What reason could there be? Lena demanded. The lawyer chose his words carefully. Intent, coercion, or questions about the circumstances of death. Lena went silent. For the first time, fear showed clearly on her face. That night she met Jordan again, this time at a hotel, not the house. We need to accelerate, she said. Move what's left, finish this. Jordan frowned. Finish what? Lena leaned in, her eyes cold. Loose ends. Marcus watched that moment closely. He had faked his death to learn the truth. Now he realized the truth was darker than he imagined. Lena and Jordan were not just lovers. They were partners in something far more dangerous. And Marcus understood something else too. If he waited too long, there might be nothing left to come back to. As the screen went dark, Marcus straightened his shoulders. The time for watching was ending. The time for returning was coming. And when Marcus King stepped back into the world of the living, someone's carefully built future was going to collapse. The night Marcus decided to move was quiet, almost peaceful. From the outside, the city looked unchanged, lights glowing, traffic humming, life moving forward as if nothing had happened. But beneath that calm surface, Lena and Jordan were unraveling. Marcus could see it clearly now. The leaked rumor about the will had done exactly what he hoped. Board members started asking careful questions, not accusations yet, but concerns. Legal teams requested clarifications. Meetings were postponed, approvals slowed. Money stopped flowing as easily. Lena hated losing momentum. She had always thrived on control, on being one step ahead. Now she felt the ground shifting under her feet and it terrified her. Jordan felt it too, but differently. Where Lena grew sharper, Jordan grew reckless. He started arriving late. He argued openly with executives. He made calls from unsecured lines. The careful assistant Marcus once trusted was gone, replaced by a man drunk on power and fear. Marcus watched one feed where Jordan slammed his phone onto a table. She's panicking, Jordan said to someone on the line, and when she panics, she starts blaming people. A pause. No, I'm not worried, Jordan continued, though his voice betrayed him. She needs me. Marcus knew that tone. Jordan was wrong. The turning point came sooner than expected. One afternoon, Lena met privately with her lawyer again. Marcus leaned forward as the audio came through. If there's an investigation, Lena said, what happens to associates? The lawyer adjusted his glasses. That depends. People lower on the chain are usually questioned first. And if they talk? The lawyer met her eyes, then the spotlight widens. Lena nodded slowly. Marcus felt a chill. That evening, Lena invited Jordan to dinner, not at the house, not at a hotel, but at a quiet restaurant far from the city center. The choice alone raised Marcus's suspicion. Hidden audio picked up their conversation. "You've been sloppy," Lena said calmly, slicing into her food. Jordan frowned. "That's not fair. I've handled everything you asked." "I asked for discretion," Lena replied, "not drama." Jordan leaned back. "You're acting like this is my fault." Lena looked at him for a long moment. "Isn't it?" Jordan's face hardened. "Careful." Lena lowered her voice. "You forget something, Jordan. I'm the widow, I'm the face. If this turns ugly, people will look at you first." Jordan's eyes narrowed. "You said we were partners." "We are," Lena replied smoothly, "but partners protect each other by knowing their roles." Marcus exhaled slowly. She was preparing to sacrifice him. Jordan sensed it too. "You're not thinking of throwing me under the bus," he said. Lena smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Why would I do that?" Jordan pushed his chair back slightly. "Because that's what people like you do when the heat gets close." Lena stiffened. "Watch your mouth." "Or what?" Jordan challenged. "You'll tell them I did everything." Silence stretched between them. Then Lena spoke softly. "I suggest you remember who invited you into this world." Jordan laughed bitterly. "You invited me because you needed me." Marcus clenched his jaw. This was the moment the alliance cracked. Later that night, Jordan made a move of his own. He contacted a lawyer quietly. He asked questions about immunity, about cooperation, about protecting himself if things went wrong. Marcus smiled grimly. Fear was doing his work for him. Isaiah stood nearby, watching another screen. "They're circling each other," he said. "One of them is going to blink." "They both will," Marcus replied, "just not at the same time." Marcus knew he needed to act before one of them disappeared, fled, or destroyed evidence. He made a call to the board. Not as Marcus King. As a representative of an external trust that Marcus had secretly established years ago, one designed to activate only under extreme circumstances. The message was simple. A special meeting was requested, urgent, mandatory. The board agreed. Lena was notified the next morning. She read the email twice, then once more, her face pale. "What is this?" she asked Jordan, thrusting the phone toward him. Jordan read it, his stomach tightening. "I don't know." Lena's mind raced. Marcus never mentioned a trust. Jordan hesitated. "Maybe there are things you didn't know." Lena shot him a sharp look. "I knew everything." Jordan didn't respond. For the first time, Lena felt truly exposed. She spent the day making calls, but answers were vague. The trust was real, the authority was legitimate, and the meeting would proceed with or without her comfort. That night, Lena stood alone in the bedroom she once shared with Marcus. She opened his old drawer, pulling out a watch he loved but stopped wearing. Her hands trembled. "Why didn't you just stay gone?" she whispered to the empty room. Across the city, Marcus watched her through the camera, his expression unreadable. "I'm not back yet," he said quietly, "but you can feel me, can't you?" The next day would change everything. Because the trust meeting was not about money. It was about truth. And when the questions started, Lena and Jordan would be forced to turn on each other or be crushed together. Marcus straightened his jacket, preparing for the next phase. The dead man was about to shake the living world. And someone was not going to survive the fallout. The boardroom was silent in a way that made every breath feel loud. Lena sat at the long glass table, her back straight, her face composed, but her fingers tapped softly against her folder. Jordan sat 2 seats away from her, pretending to read documents he had already memorized. Neither of them spoke. Across the table were men and women who had helped build Marcus King's empire, people who had trusted his judgment for years, people who knew how careful Marcus had always been. The representative from the trust finally spoke. "This trust was established by Marcus King 7 years ago," the man said calmly. "Its purpose was simple: to protect the company and its assets in the event of fraud, betrayal, or suspicious circumstances surrounding his incapacity or death." Lena's throat tightened. That's impossible, she said. My husband never mentioned such a thing. The representative nodded. That was intentional. Jordan shifted in his seat. The representative continued. Following Mr. King's death, the trust was automatically activated. Certain transactions triggered alerts, transfers, role changes, accelerated promotions. His eyes landed briefly on Jordan. Jordan swallowed. Lena forced a polite smile. With respect, grief can make timelines look strange. I stepped in to protect my husband's legacy. That is exactly what we are here to determine, the representative replied. Screens lit up around the room. Numbers appeared, dates, names. Marcus watched from a secure location, his heart steady but heavy. This was no longer just strategy, this was exposure. Let's begin with this, the representative said, pointing to the screen. 6 months before Mr. King's death, an insurance policy was taken out. The beneficiary was Mrs. Lena King. Shortly after, unusual health incidents were reported by Mr. King. Can you explain that? Lena's smile faded. I don't see how my husband's health is relevant now, she said carefully. It becomes relevant when combined with this, the representative said, switching slides. Audio played. Lena's voice filled the room. Once he's gone, we won't have to hide anymore. The room froze. Jordan's head snapped toward Lena. That's out of context, Lena said quickly. I was grieving, people say things. Another audio clip played. All that matters is that he's gone. Jordan's face drained of color. That wasn't about death, Lena said, her voice sharper now. It was about our marriage being over. The representative looked at Jordan. Mr. Blake, would you like to explain your involvement? Jordan hesitated. Lena turned toward him slowly. Jordan, tell them the truth. Jordan's jaw clenched. He glanced around the room, then back at Lena. The truth, he said quietly. You want the truth now. Lena's eyes flashed. Don't do this. Jordan laughed bitterly. You said if things got ugly, people would look at me first. The room murmured. Jordan stood up. I was an assistant, he said. I followed instructions, transfers, meetings, timing. I did what Lena asked. Lena shot to her feet. You're lying. Jordan looked at the board. I have records, messages, emails, voice notes. Lena's control cracked completely. You wouldn't dare, she said. Jordan met her eyes. You already dared first. Marcus closed his eyes for a brief moment. This was the cost of betrayal, not just loss but desperation. The representative raised his hand. Mr. Blake, if you have evidence, you are required to submit it. Jordan nodded slowly. I will. Lena turned toward the board, panic breaking through her voice. You can't take his word over mine. I was Marcus's wife. A calm voice spoke from the back of the room. Being a wife doesn't make you innocent. Every head turned. The doors opened. Marcus King walked in. Alive. Breathing. Watching. Lena screamed. Her legs gave out and she collapsed into the chair behind her, eyes wide as if she were seeing a ghost. Jordan stumbled backward. That's not possible, he whispered. Marcus stepped forward, his voice steady, controlled. I trusted you, he said, looking at Lena, and you tried to erase me. Lena shook her head violently. This isn't real, this is some trick. Marcus turned to the board. Everything you've seen is real and there's more. He faced Jordan. You were my assistant, I gave you access, you used it to destroy me. Jordan lowered his head. I was afraid, he said, and she promised. Marcus cut him off. You both made choices. Security entered the room quietly. The representative spoke again. Based on this evidence, authority is being transferred, assets frozen, a full investigation will begin immediately. Lena sobbed, now no longer in control. Marcus, please, she cried, we can fix this. Marcus looked at her with a sadness deeper than anger. You already fixed it, just not the way you planned. Jordan was escorted out first. Then Lena. The boardroom emptied slowly. Marcus remained standing, the weight of everything pressing down on him. He had exposed the truth. But consequences were still coming. Because betrayal does not end when it is revealed. It ends when justice is complete. And for Lena and Jordan, that ending was only beginning. If you're enjoying the story so far, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves powerful stories. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and what you think should happen next. The city reacted like it always did to scandal, with shock, whispers, and headlines that spread faster than truth could catch up. Billionaire declared dead returns alive. Widow and assistant accused of betrayal and fraud. Inside the Marcus King conspiracy. Phones rang non-stop, news vans camped outside buildings that once respected silence. Everyone wanted a piece of the story. Marcus refused all interviews. He stayed in a secure residence, surrounded by lawyers, investigators, and the quiet hum of consequences unfolding. The man who had once moved freely through boardrooms now watched the world from behind reinforced glass. Justice, he was learning, was loud. Lena's arrest was temporary at first. Questioning, statements, legal maneuvering, her lawyers fought hard, arguing emotional distress, circumstantial evidence, misunderstanding. But the evidence was patient. Bank trails did not forget. Audio did not lie. Intent left footprints. Jordan broke quickly. Faced with the weight of proof and the fear of prison, he cooperated. Messages were handed over, hidden accounts exposed, timelines reconstructed. Each confession tightened the net around Lena. Marcus listened to the updates in silence. Isaiah stood nearby, reading from a report. He's confirming the poisoning attempts, he said. Low doses, spaced out, enough to weaken you, not enough to raise alarms. Marcus closed his eyes. The betrayal replayed in his mind, not as anger anymore, but as disbelief. The quiet moments, shared meals, late nights, trust. All of it had been weaponized. What happens to her? Marcus asked finally. Isaiah hesitated. That's up to the courts and you. Marcus nodded slowly. Lena requested to see him 2 days later. Against advice, Marcus agreed. They met in a private room at the detention center. No glass, just a table between them. Lena looked smaller now, her confidence stripped away, her sharp edges dulled by reality. She didn't cry at first. She just stared at him. You're alive, she said softly. I still can't believe it. Marcus met her gaze. I wish I didn't have to be. Silence settled between them. I never meant for it to go that far, Lena said eventually. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Which part, the affair, the theft, or the slow poisoning? Lena flinched. You don't understand, she said. I felt invisible. Everything was about you, your empire, your legacy. Marcus leaned back. So you decided to erase me. Her voice cracked. I wanted control. I wanted to feel powerful. Marcus nodded. And you chose the one person I trusted to help you. Lena looked down at her hands. Jordan was a mistake. No, Marcus replied calmly. Jordan was a choice. Tears finally came then. I loved you, she whispered. Marcus stood. Love doesn't plan funerals, he said. He left without another word. Outside, the air felt heavy, but cleaner. The company stabilized quickly under interim leadership chosen by the board. Trusts were restructured, safeguards strengthened. Marcus returned not as a ghost but as a man changed. Employees watched him carefully, unsure what version of Marcus King had come back from the dead. They soon learned. He spoke less, listened more, he delegated power instead of hoarding it, he rebuilt quietly. Jordan accepted a plea deal. Lena went to trial. On the day the verdict was announced, Marcus did not attend. He was standing in his old home, now emptied and silent, looking out over the balcony where Lena once laughed and planned a future that never came. Isaiah called him. It's done, he said, conviction. Marcus closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. Justice had spoken. But closure was something else entirely. That night, Marcus packed the last box of personal items from the house. He paused at the doorway, taking one final look. The man who had lived there once was gone. The man walking away now understood something deeply. Death reveals truth. Not just in others, but in yourself. Marcus King turned off the lights and stepped into the night, ready to rebuild a life not based on fear, but on clarity. One chapter remained. Not of revenge, but of resolution. The rain fell steadily. The morning Marcus King stood alone by the ocean. No cameras. No reporters. No board members waiting for instructions. Just the sound of waves crashing against dark rocks and the slow rhythm of his own breathing. It had been 3 months since the verdict. Lena King had been sentenced for fraud, conspiracy, and attempted harm. The court spoke in firm language, but Marcus knew the punishment went far beyond prison walls. Her name, once respected, was now permanently stained. The future she had planned with such confidence no longer existed. Jordan Blake disappeared from public memory just as quickly. A plea deal reduced his sentence, but it stripped him of everything else: career, reputation, freedom. He would never again sit in rooms where power was discussed. The world moved on. Marcus did not rush to do the same. He sold the old house. Too many echoes lived there, too many reminders of dinners that felt safe and nights that were anything but. He donated part of the proceeds to a foundation supporting victims of domestic betrayal and financial abuse, people whose pain was invisible until it was too late. The company thrived again, but Marcus no longer ran it the same way. He appointed leaders who challenged him instead of pleasing him. He divided authority instead of concentrating it. Trust, he learned, was strongest when it was shared carefully, not blindly. One afternoon, Isaiah visited him at his new office, a smaller space, simpler, quieter. "You could have destroyed them publicly," Isaiah said, "dragged everything out, you didn't." Marcus looked out the window. "I already died once, I didn't want to live the rest of my life chasing revenge." Isaiah nodded. "So what now?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Now I live honestly, even when it's uncomfortable." That evening, Marcus received a letter. It was from Lena. He stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. The handwriting was shaky. She wrote about regret, about fear, about how power had twisted her into someone she barely recognized. She did not ask for forgiveness. She said she no longer believed she deserved it. Marcus folded the letter carefully and placed it back in the envelope. He did not respond. Some stories did not need replies. Weeks later, Marcus attended a small community event in Atlanta. No security, no announcement. He sat in the back, listening as people shared stories of loss, rebuilding, and resilience. One man stood up and said, "Sometimes you have to lose everything to see who you really are." Marcus felt the words settle deep in his chest. That night he returned home and stood in front of the mirror. The man staring back at him was older, calmer, scarred in ways no one could see. But alive. Truly alive. Marcus King had pretended to be dead to uncover betrayal. What he found was not just the truth about his wife and his assistant. He found the truth about himself. That trust without boundaries is dangerous. That love without honesty is hollow. And that survival sometimes requires letting an old version of yourself die. He turned off the light and walked into the next chapter of his life, not as a victim, not as a ghost, but as a man who had faced deception and chosen clarity over bitterness. And now, before this story ends, let us ask you, what would you have done if you were in Marcus's place? Would you have faked your death to uncover the truth or walked away at the first sign of betrayal? Do you believe people show their real selves only when they think no one is watching? Share your thoughts in the comments, we truly want to hear them. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this, and share it with someone who enjoys deep, emotional storytelling. Sometimes the greatest lesson in life is this: the truth always comes out. And when it does, it changes everything.